Hi, I'm Amanda, and I'm 28 years old. I've been married to my husband Tom for 2 years now. We met in college and have been together since then. Tom works in a corporate job, while I decided not to go the traditional route and instead make money by investing in stocks and trading foreign currencies. Even though we're comfortable financially, my parents keep telling me to get a regular job. But Tom understands my choice and supports me. He's always been the person I can talk to about anything since we met in college. My family, on the other hand, doesn't really get my lifestyle, so we don't see each other as much. When we visited Tom's family to tell them about our marriage, they were curious about my job. Tom defended me, saying I was doing what I loved, but his brother Jeff kept pushing. When I finally told Jeff I was a part-timer, he made a snarky comment about how lots of college grads can't find stable jobs these days. It was frustrating dealing with his condescending attitude. I didn't let Jeff's comments get to me because marrying him was never part of the deal. Despite Tom's apologies for his brother's behavior, having Tom's support was what mattered most to me. Jeff, who often looked down on me, apparently holds a position as an associate professor at a university. I feel sorry for his students. Now Jeff is getting married, and Tom and I have been invited to the wedding. The bride-to-be is the daughter of the university president where Jeff works. With such a prestigious connection, Jeff's future seems secure. When Jeff saw me at the wedding, he started mocking me again, calling it embarrassing to have a part-timer like me as his sister-in-law. He even pointed out that my name wasn't listed in the wedding directory. I didn't understand what he meant at first, but when I checked, my name was the only one missing. Tom was ready to confront Jeff, but I told him not to bother. I didn't care about such things. Jeff smirked at my response and suggested that I, as a part-timer, should keep a low profile and not serve drinks at the wedding. He seemed to think it would cause trouble if people found out about my job. He even went as far as telling us not to serve drinks to avoid any awkward questions. With a smug attitude, he left us behind. Tom was still fuming with anger. "I'm sorry my brother has been incredibly rude," he apologized, his expression full of regret. Feeling guilty, I found myself apologizing too. I should be the one saying sorry. I didn't mean for you to be upset because of me. Seeing me apologize, Tom finally managed to smile. But at the wedding, neither of us had the heart to celebrate. Instead, we followed Jeff's suggestion and just enjoyed the delicious food. As expected from a wedding of the university president's daughter, the food was extravagant, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. However, when we opened the gifts at home, we were stunned. Inside was a bowl with a portrait of Jeff and his wife. Even Tom, usually the more composed brother, was exasperated. "This is the last thing we need. I don't want to see my brother's face," he sighed. "But we can't just throw it away, and it's not something we can use." But I immediately thought of a solution. The bowl was the perfect size and depth for our cat's dish. "Can we use it for the cat's food? Would that be disrespectful to your brother?" I asked Tom. He replied with laughter, "It's perfect for the cat's food." The idea of my brother and his wife being licked by the cat every day is refreshing. With Tom's approval, the gift bowl became our cat's dish. A month later, I had to make a few visits to the university where Jeff worked. I dreaded running into him, especially since he had joined the university after marrying the president's daughter. However, I thought I'd be safe since the campus was vast, and I had to visit a different department from where he worked. But my luck ran out, as I bumped into Jeff right away. When he saw me, he looked surprised. I quickly looked away and pretended not to notice him, hoping to avoid any confrontation. But Jeff approached me and started questioning. "Why the hell are you here?" "I'm calling the police for trespassing." His loud voice attracted a crowd of students. He began mocking me, asking if I had come to the university just to eat cheap lunch at the cafeteria. Feeling shy and embarrassed, I fell silent. But Jeff seemed to find my silence amusing and continued to ridicule me, telling the surrounding students that I was just a part-timer who hadn't achieved much after college. I could feel the students giggling, and I felt like crying. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, a familiar professor intervened from behind. I felt relieved to see them. "What on earth is happening?" they asked. "She's my invited guest, my brother-in-law," they declared. Jeff was momentarily taken aback by the unexpected defense, but he quickly retorted, "Isn't there some kind of mistake? This girl is just a part-timer." Another professor, who arrived late and knew me, corrected Jeff, saying, "She is not a part-timer. She's a research collaborator in the economics department." Despite the other professor's attempt to clarify, Jeff remained unconvinced. Ever since marrying the president's daughter, he had become increasingly condescending, even towards senior professors. Sensing the futility of arguing with Jeff, the professor who had invited me took my hand and guided me away from the situation. As we left, the students dispersed, but Jeff seemed intent on following me. Ignoring the presence of senior professors in the room, Jeff barged in and continued his verbal attack, calling me derogatory names and questioning why I was wandering around the university. His offensive words caused the senior professors to panic, and one of them quickly ushered Jeff out of the room. However, I overheard him whispering to Tom that his career was over. Jeff's disregard for the consequences of his actions seemed apparent. With the president's support, he appeared to have no fear. But at that moment, the president entered the room. He immediately apologized to me, expressing deep regret for Jeff's behavior, and the other professors followed suit. In response, I calmly stated that I didn't mind, though inside I was seething with anger. Despite not planning to meet with the president that day, it seemed he had come for some reason. Unexpectedly, I've been collaborating on research with the professors in the economics department of this university. We're verifying the theory I use in my stock and forex investment operations. Ever since my university days, I've been conducting financial transactions based on my unique theory. A professor I connected with on social media noticed my successful investment performance and began verifying it with me. As a result, I started being invited to the university as a research collaborator. The university has even suggested that I work as a lecturer. But public speaking isn't my strong suit, so it's not an option for me. Since participating in the research also benefits my investments, I visit the university a few times a month to confirm the results. It wasn't until Jeff's wedding that I realized it was the same university where he works. When I looked at the guest list and recognized a name, I discovered that the president of the university was the bride's father. Despite other university-related guests being present, it seemed that no one noticed me. My name had been removed from the list, and I had been instructed not to serve drinks, so I stayed in my seat throughout the event. With such a grand wedding, nobody was expected to pay attention to someone as inconspicuous as me. The reason the president and professors were in a panic when Jeff confronted me is because I'm a major donor to the university. Since I started collaborating on research, my investment performance has significantly improved, and I've been donating a substantial amount of money each year. In addition to my research at the university, the theories I'm working on are also being shared with hedge funds and investors abroad. This has led to a significant increase in donations, as well as sponsorship funds crucial for the university's operations. The university earns a considerable amount of money from the research I'm involved in, making donations and sponsorships vital. The incident with my brother-in-law, Jeff, at the university was a serious matter. If I had reacted angrily to his rude remarks and decided to withdraw from the research or cease donations, it would have had a significant impact on the university's operations. That day, discussing investment theory became secondary as the president and other professors were solely focused on apologizing to me. As I was leaving, I took the opportunity to inform the president that the associate professor he mentioned earlier, who happened to be my brother-in-law Jeff, had insulted me. It seemed that nobody had realized this connection before, and it surprised them. I also expressed my honest feelings about Jeff's behavior, acknowledging that his attitude was questionable, especially for an educator. Despite feeling angry, I spoke passionately in front of about 10 people, including the president, something I wouldn't normally do due to nerves. Looking back, I feel embarrassed yet impressed with myself for reacting in an unexpected manner when pushed too far. After I left, it became apparent that Jeff's attitude had become an issue within the university. He was criticized for his arrogant behavior towards his superiors, even after marrying the president's daughter, and his reputation among students was tarnished. Some saw his appointment as an associate professor as a special case due to his relationship with the president's daughter, leading to criticism directed at the president as well. The president had been defending Jeff, his son-in-law, out of love for his daughter, but he faced trouble himself if his position was compromised due to the criticism directed at Jeff. However, Jeff, unaware that even the president, his biggest supporter, was receiving criticism for defending him, became increasingly arrogant. When I returned to the university, Jeff, as usual, mocked me. His derogatory remarks made me question the integrity of the university, considering that such behavior was tolerated from an associate professor. I began contemplating ending the joint research with the university. Being ridiculed every time I visited felt like a waste of time. As Jeff continued his insults, seemingly oblivious to my absent-mindedness, the president intervened with a louder voice, reprimanding Jeff for his foolishness. Seeing Jeff, usually so overbearing, silenced by the president's words, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Jeff's glare at me was short-lived as the president's stern command followed. After today, you're no longer part of this university. Pack up and leave immediately. Jeff appeared to struggle to grasp the gravity of the situation, his gaze fixed blankly on the president's face. Suddenly, his tone shifted to casual, addressing the president as father-in-law and expressing confusion about the sudden turn of events. In response, the president, his face flushed with anger, yelled once more, denying Jeff's right to call him father-in-law and demanding that Jeff divorce his daughter. The mention of divorce caught me off guard. Just then, a young woman and a man in a suit appeared before us. Recognizing the woman, I felt a sense of familiarity. As she spoke, Jeff's shock was evident. It became clear that the woman was Jeff's wife, but her presence at the university was a mystery. With a stern expression, Jeff's wife began to explain her suspicions and how a lawyer had obtained incriminating photos. The man accompanying her then showed Jeff the photos, revealing him arm in arm with another woman I didn't recognize. Jeff's surprise mirrored my own astonishment. Understanding why the president mentioned divorce, I felt it was inappropriate to discuss such matters in the middle of the university, especially in front of me. Despite this, Jeff's wife insisted on the divorce, accusing Jeff of using her and never truly loving her. The unfolding drama left my heart racing with anticipation. Seeing Jeff on the verge of tears brought me a sense of satisfaction, especially when his wife mentioned property division, prompting Jeff to beg for forgiveness, promising not to cheat again. Witnessing Jeff's panic was oddly enjoyable, and I even considered taking a picture to show my husband. Perhaps the president had called me to witness Jeff's suffering. Despite Jeff's pleas, his wife remained firm, stating she had already hired a lawyer. I hadn't anticipated things moving so swiftly. As I watched Jeff, bewildered and frustrated, he redirected his anger towards me, insulting me for being just a part-timer and telling me to leave. At this point, the president stepped in to defend me, highlighting my contributions as a skilled investor, my joint research with the economics department, and my generous donations to the university. Finally, Jeff seemed to absorb the president's words as he silently looked at me. Seizing the opportunity, I confronted Jeff, demanding an apology from him too. Reluctantly, Jeff apologized to me, perhaps under the pressure of the president's intervention. It seemed that the president had orchestrated the entire event to weaken Jeff, showing evidence of his affair, discussing my achievements to further diminish him, and ultimately compelling an apology. Thanks to the president's plan, I felt a sense of relief seeing Jeff apologize to me. As the lawyer explained the details of the property division, I sent my farewells to Bob, ready to leave. He requested my continued support for the university, but I asked for a rain check. My trust in the university had waned due to Jeff, and I had personal matters to attend to. I promised to get back to him and left for the day. When I arrived home, I recounted the incident with Jeff to my husband, Tom. He was already aware of my dislike for Jeff, so hearing about his apology and despair brought genuine joy to Tom's face. However, he expressed frustration at not being able to witness Jeff's state firsthand and jokingly scolded me for not taking a picture. Amidst our laughter, I shared another piece of good news with Tom. I was pregnant. Tom's ecstatic reaction made it clear how much it meant to him. I had been feeling unwell lately and had suspected the reason on my way home from the university. The news filled our home with joy and anticipation for the future. I went to the doctor's office and learned about the pregnancy. Although I felt a bit guilty for Bob, who had gone to great lengths to make Jeff apologize, I decided to pause my cooperation with the university for now. Bob seemed disappointed, but he said he would wait until I finished raising the child. When I mentioned reconsidering later, Bob told me that Jeff, who had divorced officially, was now unemployed and struggling to find a new job. Jeff had been trying to get hired by other universities, but his reputation for arrogance was holding him back, and he wasn't receiving any offers. It seemed that Jeff's arrogance had backfired on him, leading to a bigger downfall than expected. Suddenly, I realized that the photos we had used as cat dishes had disappeared. Whether it was because they were cheap gifts or because of the divorce, the couple's photos were gone too.